Hello, today's webinar presentation sponsored by Labor Performance is how to reduce your labor costs by actually paying employees more money per hour through incentive pay. A common misconception is that if you pay more money, your labor costs go up, but you actually have to analyze your productivity levels versus the amount you're paying versus the amount you're paying per hour. So today's walkthrough example will show how increased productivity, even with increased labor costs per hour, can reduce your overall labor costs per unit produced, which is what is most important. So for this example, we're going to do a very simple analysis, and then after this I will show you a real-world example results of one of our customers who implemented our labor management system by Labor Performance. So with this simple example, we'll assume that your labor cost is $15 per hour. The current production rate in the facility is 80 units per hour. So if you divide $15 by 80 units, you get a cost per unit of 18.75 cents. We'll go ahead and implement a 50% gain share incentive pay program, which means that for every unit produced over the baseline of 80 units per hour, the cost savings will be split 50% between the company and 50% with the employee as an incentive pay. So let's assume with this incentive pay that productivity goes up by 25% from 80 units per hour to 100 units per hour. The bonus to the employee for increasing productivity by 25%, they get 12.5% of that because they're getting 50%. So 12.5% of $15 is $1.88 per hour. So the total labor cost for the employee on a per hour basis is $16.88 per hour. However, your cost per unit is now 16.88 cents per unit. So that's a decrease of 10% from 18.75 cents per unit. So one of the examples we did for one of our real-world customers is they were producing 20,000 units a year. This is container freight. This facility is a cross-docking facility that transloads container freight inbound and outbound. Before we implemented the labor management system with them, their total loaded cost was $237 per container. After 12 months of using our system, their cost had dropped to $165 per container. So they had saved themselves $1.44 million. Before that, their annual employee hours were 250,000, and they were paying a base wage of $8.75 an hour with no incentive pay. Afterwards, the amount of labor reduced down to 150,000 hours, but through bonus pay, their wage had increased to $12.50 an hour. So they actually were paying the remaining employees $562,000 more than on the previous pay program. So the total value creation from this incentive program created $2 million of value, where a good portion of that went to the client as cost savings. And so you can see here, this is an actual graph of the productivity levels of the employees before and after. So in 2007, the majority of people were performing at a below standard, and then in 2008 you saw the productivity curve shift dramatically to the right. Part of our program with Labor Performance is clients are able to pull up reports and show what their actual daily or labor cost savings is over a period of time. So in this example, this would be for the month of October this previous year for this client. I didn't show all the days because it wouldn't fit on the screen. But for that month, the client had paid out $3,800 in bonuses, and they had reduced their labor costs by $8,500. So what they were doing was a gain share of approximately 33% of the productivity gains went to the employee, and the remaining went back to the customer. Another thing that they were tracking was their indirect labor. Often companies don't monitor their indirect labor closely enough, and we set up part of the incentive program to help reduce the indirect labor. So their indirect labor went from 12.5% down to 8.1%, saving an additional $3,400 for that month. So combined savings were almost $12,000 for that period of time, and on an annualized basis, their savings were $155,442. It's a little bit. It was actually the period was a little bit less than a month. It was around 24 days, and so that's why it comes in at a little bit more than $150,000. So anyway, this example here will show you that you can actually increase your employee pay, but reduce your overall labor costs through the use of a labor management system and a pay-for-performance program.